You were right. The case for SPY-T trading. You noticed the gaps between the previous night close and the morning open. And you're right.
And you thought about it, and it seemed like the market usually opens up.
You thought options would be a good way to take advantage of that gap. You thought there might be signals to help you decide either to buy a call or a put. And you're right again. And you wondered if you couldn't place stops overnight, if there's possibly a way you could protect yourself. And it turns out you were right. Since you were right, how do we take advantage of this situation? Well, the market opens up about 55% of the time. This graph shows that yes, all the action happens overnight. SPY starting from 1993 to 2018, if you had bought SPY in the morning and sold in the evening, you would have probably lost a little money. Over that same time period, if you bought SPY in the evening and sold it at the open, you would be up 600%. You can also see on that graph that there are periods of time when buying at the close and selling at the open isn't quite working as well. So rather than just buying and selling SPY, we could use an indicator and take advantage of all markets, whether up or down. So the next question is, how often does that indicator need to be correct? So if the market or SPY opens up over 55% of the time, then your indicator needs to be right, well, over 55% of the time. Now it is important to note that you may not win every trade. You can give the exact same information to 10 different traders and have 10 different results. So what if I made my own indicator? That's what I certainly thought, and why I spent 2 years developing my indicator. I did a lot of calculations and triangulations until I found an indicator that worked the way I want it to work. My SPY Tomorrow indicator measures the pressure at the end of the day, my choice of words, and that pressure correlates to how the market will open the next day, assuming a couple things. First is that the data I collected at the end of the day is solid, and second, that there's no overnight market-changing news, such as economic news, earnings reports, or news around the world that could shift the mood to the opposite direction. On average, it's about 75% correct, which is much better than the 55% needed. I'll show you a couple real-world examples on how to trade this in a moment. But I encourage you to make your own indicator. You could use the momentum at the end of the day, maybe activity after hours, or specific stocks that are highly weighted in SPY or even the QQQ, such as Apple or Amazon or Google. Maybe consider all three. Perhaps you could use specific technical indicators and see how they correlate to the next morning's open. Take a look at the money flow. Consider what the big money is doing with option flows. There are a lot of ways to approach this, just test your ideas. So for this overnight swing trade, I like to keep it simple. So here are 3 ways you could go about it. If you have a good feeling and really confident about your indicator, you could just go directional, either buy a call or a put. If you're not really sure, but you think there's going to be a big move, consider a straddle, or the method we like to use in our SPY-T trade, which is a 2-to-1 option ratio. So here are some real-world overnight swing trade examples. A few different scenarios. I'm going to have a more in-depth video coming with a number of different scenarios and situations. Now this is a 4-day expiration, so the theta is falling quickly, plus volatility is falling, and we'll see that in the example when we see the next day results. So here are the 5 setups. First, buying a call just out of the money. Next is a straddle, buying 1 call and 1 put of about equal value. Then we have the SPY-T trade, where we buy 2 calls and 1 put. SPY-TB, with our indicator saying up, we buy a call just in the money, and then a put at about half price. SPY-TC, we go a little bit more in the money to buy our call, and again, a put half price. The first result is an option chain right at the open when SPY is up 0.3%. So here's the option chain. You can pause this or come back to it if you want to do some of your own calculations. And here are the results. At 9:34, SPY was up about 0.3%. The call made 22.5%. The straddle was minus 1.3%. Definitely theta and the volatility decreasing certainly hurt the straddle. SPY-TA was up 3.1%. SPY-TB was up 1.5%. And SPY-TC 1.7%. Sometimes SPY TB will offer a better result, but it will almost always have a greater loss. Next, looking at the 10 o'clock numbers when SPY is up 0.9%, almost a full percentage. Here are the numbers. Feel free to pause the video and do your own calculations. And the result at this point, 10 o'clock SPY up about 0.9%. The call only is making 34.8%. The straddle is now making a little bit of money. SPY TA is up 11.8%. SPY TB 8.6%. As you can see, it's making a little more here. In SPY TC, 8%. But a good question to ask is, what if your indicator said down and the market was up 0.9%? What would have happened? Well, of course, if you had bought a put, you would have lost over a third of your money. The straddle would have been the same. The SPY TA would have lost 12.2%. SPY TB would have lost 8.9%. And SPY TC would have lost 6.5%. So as you can see, the SPY T trades can protect you on the downside, and you can even make money if the market falls far enough. SPY TC, profit is infinite, can go down 14-15% in high volatility. Low volatility, this can be 5-6%, and then back up as SPY or your ETF goes down.
We know that the market opens up about 55% of the time. We know most of the action and opportunity is overnight. We know that we can amplify those gains with options, plus we can go any direction. And of course, our indicator just needs to be right a little over 55% of the time. Of course, how well you do is up to you based on when you buy, but even more important, how well you sell your options in the morning. Of course, all the rules and caveats about trading options are still in play. However, if you develop your skills, you know that you were right. The math is on your side. I'll see you in the next video.